Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm actually going to go over some advanced showroom concepts. This is one of those things that is real simple if you want to do something real simple. But as your business grows, as the size of your bot chains grow, and especially going into pre-releases, you're going to probably want to do something more advanced than just, stock 4 of standard here and 4 of standard there and 100 buy tickets on this buy bot and 50 on this one. So, first thing I kind of want to just kind of a what an idea of what my view of what the goal of a showroom is. The goal of our showroom and inventory management system is to properly is to as efficiently as possible serve your customers, make sales, do transactions at the least cost of capital used, and distribute your inventory in the way you want it based on current inventory levels. It's a complex way of saying if we've got 6 of a card and we want 4 to go to one bot and 2 to go to the other, and then we buy 2 more and we want to make sure the next 2 go to a third bot, we can do that. And so we want to set up our systems in ways that allow us to do that. And then the flip side is when it comes to our buy bots and our ticket counts, I feel like I always want to keep as many tickets on my buy bots as I can because it'll allow larger buys with customers. Even with our redirect system, I still know that when a customer comes in to sell, 300 tickets worth of cards, you've only got 100 tickets. You're probably 50-50 or maybe even 25-75 on losing that trade. And two, it makes your bots look more legitimate. It makes them look like a better bot than than like if you were going to go and trade a random bot in classifieds, who would you trust more with your credit? Or who would you trust more to have better prices? The guy with 20 tickets or the guy with 200 tickets or 1,000? Um, and so those are just the concepts that I go with and why I design showrooms the way I design showrooms. So the first thing I want to discuss is kind of the more simple topic, which is buy bots. Now with buy bots, you can obviously just set up a showroom that says, give all my buy bots 100 tickets. And there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, that's how I've done it for a very long time. But recently I came up with some more complex systems to more efficiently use my tickets. Because if I've got 300 tickets on my restocker, with my system as large as it is, I personally want to keep at least 300 tickets on my restocker. And if I go below that, then what I want to do is I want to reduce the ticket level of all of my buy bots specifically and take some tickets back from them. And then if I go way above that, I want to distribute tickets out to my bots, to my buy bots, to give them again better coverage of large buys and more prestige, as it were. So basically, I just kind of want to keep my restocker to always have a certain minimum level of tickets, and anytime it gets very far above that, we go ahead and distribute those tickets in an efficient way. And I've actually got a sheet here that will be included in the documentation I'm sending out that helps you do that. So if we flip over here to our advertising calculator, what you'll find is we've got a system right here where it's the bot type, the number of bots, the tickets per bot, the total tickets, which is simply this times this, and then what I'm calling our baseline. So in an ideal world, right, if I were just going to go and make showrooms that did not auto adjust their ticket thresholds, this is what I would want. I would put 100 tickets on each buy bot, I would put 150 on the sell bots, and I would want restocker to have about 300 tickets left over. I'm going to include this calculator so that you can put in your own numbers. So if you prefer restocker to have 1,000 or 1,500 or whatever, you can do so. But these are just the numbers I was going with because 300 tickets is enough to cover 4 to 5 trades with a buy bot without hitting a sell bot to pick up tickets and refill itself pretty easily. So what I then did was I created this calculator. And this calculator is basically these are the number of tickets to display on the bot whenever I have less than this number of tickets. And so if my ticket level ever drops down to say 4,000 tickets, with the structure I'm building here, it'll automatically, the restocker will automatically go to all my buy bots and pull tickets from them and reduce their ticket count down to 50 in order to make sure it can keep the system functioning, because you don't want to end up in a gridlock where you have buy bots that are out of tickets completely, because that's very, very bad. You don't buy cards when you have that. And it also, again, makes the customers think that your system isn't reliable and that you're not a reliable botter. And I chose 25 ticket thresholds here, and you can actually adjust this any way you want. You could do 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 125. You don't have to do like a baseline like that. And again, that's why I'm going to include this calculator for y'all to use, and you can extend it out if you want to even do more than this. So what this does is this gives you your thresholds. If I have less than this number of tickets and I want to keep 300 tickets on my restocker and 150 tickets on my sell bots, then I need to reduce my buy bot ticket count to 50. And if I have over this number and less than this number, I can do 75. So with this level of threshold and the number of bots I'm running, that means my restocker will be holding anywhere from 300 tickets when it's right on this line to 1,1600 tickets if it's right below this line. So obviously the system isn't perfect, and again, if you go to narrower bands, you'll be able to use your restocker will stay at more of a baseline level. The downside of going to narrower bands and triggering every 50, 60, 70 tickets is that also means your restocker is going to do more restock trades, because anytime you hit one of these thresholds with like the numbers I've got lined out here, my restocker now needs to do 55 trades in order to pull the ticket count down to 50. And that's just instantaneously, it'll want to hit all those bots. That's the cost you pay for having this more intelligent system. So how do you actually use this in the rules set? Well, it's actually really simple. What you do is you take your ticket count column here, and this is actually going to be what we use for our quantity, and you put it in quantity. Delete this. And then you take your total count here and you copy it and you paste it into owned. And I'm going to paste its values because I don't want to transfer the formulas. So you've got to do a little bit of modification here. So you want to make sure that you're using event tickets, non-foil, of course. And then what you need to do is you actually need to turn this into ranges, because right now it just says if I own exactly 4,100, stock 50. If I own exactly this many, stock this. So what we'll do is our lowest range, we'll just say if I own less than 4,100, go to this number. And our next range will be 4,100, because it can be equal to through 5475, go to 75. And then this one is, you have to go to 5476. You need to go up 1, because the tilde symbol, that range, is inclusive. So line 3 is where, if you have 5,475 tickets, it'll match line 3, not line 4. And then you just go through and you do that through the whole thing here. And actually, when you get to the very last one, this one, you can just do a greater than, just like you did a less than on the first one. And so what this will do is it makes it to where no matter how many tickets I have, it'll match one of these lines exactly. It'll only fall to one of these lines. There'll be no conflicts. If you just went through and did less than, less than, less than, you don't want to do that, because you don't want to rely on there not to be a collision and have the bots correctly choose which line to fall to. This way there's no confusion. There's no chance of me later finding that, I thought on 5,000 it'd fall to this one, but it also matched this one, so the system chose that one. Now, of course, with this system, you can also, for those of you who do keep boosters on your buy bots, which is generally a good place to keep them, in my opinion, if you're not running dedicated booster bots, then of course you can include boosters down here. And you can actually do something similar with boosters. You just have to kind of like redesign the calculator a little bit. But I've done that with boosters, where I slowly step up the amount of inventory I have in them. Or I've also done when you're running booster bots and you're running buy bots, I'll take the booster bots and make sure they all have inventory using the owned column, And then once I have excess on boosters, I'll fall over and let the buy bots also pick up inventory as they go. And if you ever sell down, of course, Restocker will then come take it off of the buy bots and move it over to the booster bots. So the system automatically adjusts itself. So that's really it with the buy bot showroom, because buy bots are relatively simple. This is about as complicated as they're going to get, and I think this is a great way to make sure that you don't wake up one day and be like, oh, I did a lot of transactions last night, or I wasn't paying attention this week, and suddenly I've got buy bots that are out of tickets because I'm trying to stock 100 tickets on every buy bot. And so 50 of my buy bots have 100 tickets and 20 of them have 0. That's not a good scenario. Now for those of you who want to, for instance, for those of you who want to include special buy bots that maybe you always want to have 200 tickets on, you just treat those as sell bots and give them their own line here. Because basically what this calculator does is the only thing it adjusts is it adjusts the number of tickets that the buy bots get. It keeps all these other numbers the same. Now you can build more complex systems than that, but this is just to get you going on this idea of intelligently distributing your tickets. Okay. And of course then you'll want to save this and upload it into the bot. Let's see here. So that's the trick with the buy bots. Now the sell bot setups are a little more complicated in some ways. So the idea with the more complex sell rooms that I've gone over for releases is this. If you've got 2 or 3 buy bots, what you often want to do is you want to distribute most cards to your best buy bots. But then what happens when you've got a bunch of bots, or I'm sorry, your best sell bots. But then what happens when a lot of your, when you've got a lot of bots that aren't really standout, they're all very similar. So like with my system, the Card Nexus is far and away the standout bot of my network. It outperforms every other bot 2 or 3 to 1. But like the Card Nexus 2 and Card Ally, they both perform pretty similar to each other actually. And Card Ally 2 underperforms these two. And so whenever I'm distributing my inventory, especially for standard, and especially during a release, I probably want to distribute a little more complex than give the first 4 to Card Nexus and the next 4 to Card Ally and the next 4 here. The problem is setting up those showrooms is relatively complex. So here's what I do. I go and basically I count, right? So if I had 1 copy of a card, where would I want it to be? And the answer is I'd want it on the Card Nexus. Now, what if I had 2 copies of a card? Where would I want it to be? Also, probably the Card Nexus. Now, this is for a release, and so during a release, I'll actually spread out further on my inventory because I'm trying to turn it faster because of the release and because of the prices on the cards dropping really quickly. I'm less concerned with having perfect inventory on my best sell bots than I am just making sure I'm advertising everything. So what I'll do is I'll go 1, 2 there, and then I'll go to Card Ally, and I want the 3rd card in the set to go to Card Ally. And then the 4th copy of that card I also want to go to Card Ally. The 5th card, let's say I want it to go back to the Card Nexus. That way it'll stock 3 copies once I have 5. So when we have 5 units now, what happens is the Card Nexus would match this line, which we'll get to showing you in the criteria in a minute. And so it'd get 3 copies. And then Card Ally would match to this line, and I'll show you why it will, and you'll get 2. And so we just count through where we want all of our cards to go. So whenever I have card number 6, I'll put it here, 7 here, and then I'll go back here, and I'll go 8 here, 9 here, 10, 11. It really is as simple as counting through. Those of you who've tried to build these in the past, though, know that this doesn't work necessarily, and I'll explain why in just a moment. You have to take it one more step. And then I'll just put I'll put 2 on Card Ally, and then before I put any more on Card Ally, I'll put another on the Card Nexus, and then another here, and another here. Okay, so what this does is if I have 16 copies, I want to make sure I'm putting 4 on each bot. If I have 12 copies, I want to make sure I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just distribute in a very, very almost random pattern. The problem is you can't directly use this. Now you have to turn this data into ranges, which is actually a lot easier than you'd think. All you do is you take the card nexus here, and you go 1, 1 tilde. So that says 1 or more copies go here. And then we go to the 2, and we go, okay, 2, or tilde, 4. And then we go to the 5, and we do 5 tilde 13. And then on this one, we'll do greater than 13. So what this says is, when I own 1 copy, I want it to match this line. When I own 2 to 4 copies, I want it to match this line. When I own 5 to 13 copies, I want to put 3 here. And when I own more than 13, I want to put 4 here. And all you have to do to make sure that you did this right and have no mistakes, and that was the hard part with designing this system. All you have to do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 13, more than 13. I have every single number covered now, except 0, which of course when we're dealing with showrooms doesn't actually matter, because if we own 0, we can't stock it in the first place. So all you have to do is go through each one of these and do that, and I'll show you that right now. Let's see here, 6. Or I'm sorry, you don't actually need a tilde here. You can just do 1, because if you own exactly 1 copy, then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And so this one's just 6, and then you do 7 to 8, because the next number is a 9. Then you do 9 to 10, and then you do greater than or equal to 11. And you can actually do it that way. You can do greater than or equal to 14 to make that system more consistent. So then your first number, matching the 1, is just 3. And then here is 4 to 7. And then here is 8 to 9. And then here is greater than or equal to 10. And so again, you can see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, greater than or equal to 11. Covers every single number. The only ones it doesn't cover is 1 through 5. But if we have less than 5, we don't want to stock any on the card nexus 2, is what we've decided with what we did. And if you look at card ally, when we have 3 copies, we want to stock this many. So we go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or greater. And so to give you some idea of how the system actually works, and to explain it for some of the newer guys, in this case, if I own 3 copies and I have these showrooms set on my sell bots, what will happen is card ally will match to the line that says exactly 3. It'll say, okay, we own exactly 3 copies. I want one of that card. And the card nexus up here, the number 3 owned will actually fall into this range of 2 to 4, and so we'll put 2 here. And so it'll perfectly distribute 2 copies here and 1 copy here. And it'll just, it automatically distributes your inventory correctly. And once that gets larger, and say you've got, let's say you've got 10 copies. So with that, it'd fall to this line, and this line. So you go 3 copies on the card nexus, 3 on the card nexus 2, and 4 on card ally. But then, if you sold 2, what would happen is all these numbers would recalculate. Now you have 8, so you'd have 3 on card ally, 2 on card nexus 2, and still have 3 on the card nexus. And as soon as all those numbers recalculate, your restocker will then go through, take the excess off of whoever has it, and redistribute it in the way that you told it to do. And so you just finish the system out. And then you can do, these last 2 are a little weird because they're just straight numbers because they're only matching there. So like this last one, you go 12, 13, 14. 15 is when we want to stock 3. And then greater than or equal to 16 is when we want to stock 4. And you're done. Now all you have to do is take these numbers, the quantity column and the owned column, and you transfer them to your actual showroom. So in that case, what we do is we come over here, and I want to do the new set. So we'll just say it's Hour of Devastation because I know the shortcode for that one. So I'm going to do Hour of Devastation, non-foils. And I want to take this, and I want to make 4 rows for it because we need 4 to do a 4-card distribution. And then we take our quantity of 1, 2, 3, 4, and we drop it in our quantity column. And we take our owned, and we drop it in our own column. And now you save it, and you upload it as a CSV into your system, and you do that for all your sell bots that you want to work on this kind of system. And that's it. Now your cards will correctly distribute themselves the way you set them to. And the great part about having the Showroom Setup XLSX is it makes it very simple. And so you can actually very, very quickly, if you because I usually 2 or 3 times during a pre-release or a release, I'll redesign how I want things to distribute as I try new things. And doing that is literally as simple as counting. You just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and you just go through the process I just showed you. And it's that easy. And I think this is one of those things that's very, very difficult to do normally, but this makes it very trivial. So, that's it. Thanks for watching the video. I hope that setting up these more complex showrooms during this release and future releases is going to help your business. I think it does. I think distributing your cards and your tickets efficiently is one of the great things that JBot actually does compared to any of the other softwares in the system, including Cardbot and Crew. They regularly have thousands of tickets just rotting on random buy bots that clearly don't do enough traffic for it. But between the restocker's speed and the way we have it set up on thresholds, and the way we've got the rules set up, you can do these complex things that very efficiently distribute your inventory. So that being said, go and do it. And check out the 2 files, which I will absolutely be including in our Dropbox along with the video. And thank you for watching. Have a great day, guys. Bye.